Thanks for joining us on Coast to Coast Pest
Some
Talk.
like Bob Marley or something.
Well, yeah, we'll get something special in there.
About a thing.
Oh, that's good. It's beautiful. All right. Great, guys. Well, welcome. Thanks for tuning in to Coast Pest Talk. I'm your host, Gabe with Pest Patrol, hailing from the rainy city of Portland, Oregon. We've got Andy Sinevsky in Syracuse, New York with Primatech Pest Management. And we have a special guest today, Adam Holt, hailing from the sunny San Diego, wearing some fantastic shades today. And today we're going to be talking about social media, using social media, particularly in our field as pest control operators, how we can do it, pitfalls, and Adam is going to walk you through all of the ways to become a social media master.
That's right. So, Adam, how did you get into pest control? Like, let's back up just a little bit and see if there's anybody that doesn't know who you are already. How did you get into this field?
So I grew up in a small town in Florida called Palatka. I mean, it's one of those things where it has like one probably red light if you're lucky. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but it's a really small town in northern Florida. And grew up on a small farm of about 9 acres. So we had all animals from chickens to goats to peacocks to turkeys, cows, pigs, you name it. We had the farm, the garden, all of the above. And so I've always been kind of an outdoors person. And so oddly enough, when I was in high school, I was dual enrolled between high school and college, right? And so I was trying to be one of the smart people to get through college really fast in high school. And my college schedule got messed up, so I got stuck in this standard level zoology class where my teacher made me do an insect collection. And oddly enough, to my surprise, I fell in love with it. I was doing all the curating, and collecting them and pinning them and identifying them taxonomically. And I was like, I think I want to do something down this avenue. And I had already applied to University of Florida. That's where I went to, stamped.
There you
So
go.
I had already applied to UF and got accepted, and I was going into their vet program, so I just decided to do entomology pre-vet track. So went to school, did all my entomology stuff, and while I was at University of Florida, I got a part-time job in there it's called the Division of Plant Industry. It's basically their entomology kind of department, but it's run by the state, not necessarily University of Florida. So I got a job with them curating these little teeny tiny metallic flies called Dolichopotids. And I was basically transferring them from these little cigar boxes to the unit trays to go inside the Cornell drawers, and did that. I got paid decent money, and I just kind of basically ultimately went down the entomology track because I applied to vet school, got accepted, decided not to go, and then I just decided to do my master's in entomology. So undergrad entomology, master's entomology. And then inside of all of that, I've taught 7th and 8th grade science, high school biology. I've been an adjunct professor of bio. And then I was an education specialist for mosquito control. And this is all in Florida. I started my real pest control, I would say, private side in Florida, working for Terminix as their regional technical director. So, of course, everybody's worked for Terminix, right? Raise your hand. Yep. Okay, here we go. I would say it's one of those, it's that love-hate relationship. We hate it because, it's not the best place, but we love it because they got us where we are, right? And so that ultimately segued me into pest control software, where I worked for a company called ServSuite. I'm sure you've heard of them, one of the largest out there. So I worked for them under Andy Deering for 4 years and was part of their patent for rodent remote monitoring. I was on one of the first ones called ServSensor. And so that ultimately failed horribly, but we tried. It was very cool to be a part of that process from conception to execution to molding and manufacturing out of China. Being on the patent, that was just a very unique and process to be a part of. And so that ultimately segued me to everywhere else I've been, as a technical director for Advanced IPM, to a manufacturing rep for Douglas Products and Amgar Products, to where I am now. And I also worked for Real Green, another software company.
Wow. So
25 years in the industry, all over the place.
Yeah. A little dabbling into every little nook and cranny, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah. So how in the world does that lead into social media? What's the connection there?
Yeah. So social media, honestly, I've always had what I consider a very extroverted, outgoing personality. It's just who I am. I think it's what's helped me be in the roles I've been in. And so during COVID, my wife was like, hey, you should hop on this TikTok train. And I'm like, what is TikTok? I have no idea what it is. And she's like, it's just another social media thing. But because of my background and because of my background in education and my love for education, and I love basically helping others, I saw that need during COVID for kids who weren't able to get access, to being in school and having that education. So I actually started creating 60-second science lessons for kids through TikTok. And that's where TikTok kind of generated itself for me. And it started going okay. It was doing all right. But honestly, that didn't really catch on like I was hoping it would. I mean, I'm not Mrs. B. I'm sure if you haven't heard of Mrs. B, you just go to TikTok, Instagram. Mrs. B is a teacher out of South Carolina or North Carolina who went viral, and now she has millions of followers.
Oh, wow.
And she just does science lessons after science lessons on, social media. And she actually quit her job so she can do what she's doing now on social media.
Holy cow.
Wow.
And so, but with that being said, I just started I had to pivot at that point. And this is a good lesson through all of this, is that when you're doing social media, if one, thing doesn't work, you have to learn to pivot to another thing, right? I mean, it's just like in your regular job and your business, right? You're pivoting all the time because you want to continue to grow and you want to continue to be successful. And so pivoting is part of that evolutionary growth that you have to be a part of. And so I decided to pivot because, kind of going back as well, I love medical and veterinary entomology. So my master's thesis was on bird lice. So I wrote a Florida field guide to bird lice. And during that process, I spent 3 summers in the different areas of the Florida Keys picking ectoparasites off of 90 different species of birds. So mites, lice, hippobossid louse flies, relapsing fever ticks, like all of the above. And so it's just an incredible process. But it's weird. I'm into all that pimple popping stuff. I love it all. So obviously, if you've watched any of my videos, you see there's a lot of bot fly removal videos that I just love because it's just so interesting to me. And there's obviously a population that loves it, and there's a population that hates it. They think it's disgusting. They can't even watch it. They like turn it on for me and they just run it to the side so I can get the, the follow or the view.
So when you say a pivot point, did you start out with one sort of style of content and then didn't get the traction you wanted and decided, okay, I got to do something different? Or describe what happened there.
I think the pivot point for me was that I wasn't seeing the success in the 60-second science lessons, right? So I had to come up with another topic.
So it's still on TikTok?
My 60-second science lessons?
Yeah, those two, the pivots both happened within the same social media site. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Same social media site. And so all of that was all in that. I mean, and technically you'll notice those trends tend to happen through other social media platforms as well. I mean, you might be successful on one and not on the other, but the reality is typically it's either the content itself or it's the way you make the content, right? Or like I was telling Andy earlier, Gabe, before you came on, you have to also research what are the proper viral hashtags, right? Like if you Google top 10 viral hashtags for TikTok, it'll literally list those for you. And it'll list how many views follow each one of those hashtags. So like right now for me, if you currently put in name that bug, I think I have like 470 million views tied to name that bug hashtag.
Wow.
And so that's important. The actual getting a certain, researching the proper viral music is important, right? That background music you put in your video, that can actually help the algorithm, push your video as well in a certain direction. And so for me, pivoting again, Andy, was basically changing the content itself, going from 60-second science lessons to maybe a bot viral video.
So and then you found that you pivot and then that started to get traction. Did you pull that same sort of new content into other social media platforms and find that they got traction there? Or did it perform differently depending on the?
That's a great question. So, to bring up that point, I was pretty much only doing TikTok. I don't really like Instagram. To me, it's not that great. You can't monetize that well on Instagram at all. I mean, people can just give you stars. I'm like, who cares about stars? It can convert to money, but it's not like it is on TikTok. So, at one point, I got an invitation on Facebook. It's called, I think, Reels on Facebook now. So you can be a Meta creator, and Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. So an invitation to do this contest where it was like, upload videos and you can get up to $1,000 in 1 month. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm doing this. So I just sat there and downloaded all of my viral videos from TikTok and I uploaded all those viral videos to Facebook. And in 3 days on Facebook, I went from no followers on my reels to 17,000 followers on my reels.
Wow. And that's recycling the exact same content. You didn't do anything.
Exact same content, exact same hashtags, exact same music, and I got the $1,000.
Ah, nice.
So I was
Okay.
like,
Well done.
score.
So have you found a spot where the content didn't transfer? Like if you took that same TikTok thing and you put it on LinkedIn or some other social media site, did you find a spot where it doesn't translate?
It doesn't do as well on Instagram for me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I still get a decent amount, but most people will notice it's funny, right? If you go to TikTok, somebody might have 1.5 million followers on TikTok and they only have 300,000 followers on Instagram. So I don't know if it's because of the fact that, I don't know if Instagram's a global thing as well, but like TikTok is just global and everybody has gone to that social media platform. Right. And so, I mean, the guy who owns TikTok, I think is worth like $70 billion.
Oh, jeez.
It's insane. I mean,
Yeah, TikTok's a lot bigger than Instagram, right? I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but isn't it the biggest social media site in the world?
I believe so. I mean, I think if you Google it, which is a fair thing for you guys to Google, you can just Google how many people are on TikTok, how many people are on, you know what I mean, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And that's a very easy kind of Google thing, a Google platform thing to do. And so pretty sure TikTok's the largest social media platform like in existence.
Yeah. Would you say at this point, because I found out about you through LinkedIn, which is kind of where I live.
Right.
What's your favorite social media platform to be on?
My favorite. So here's the thing. I would say, let's go ahead and talk about this. This is a great subject, Gabe. LinkedIn to me is like the professional version of Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. Because you get people on LinkedIn who are still telling their stories and they're still, bringing into their lives to you. They're still talking about their children and that stuff. Me personally, I don't like using LinkedIn as a personal platform. I like using LinkedIn as only a professional platform.
Right.
And so with that being said, I think I have a little over 5,200 followers on LinkedIn. And so do I like LinkedIn? I think LinkedIn is great, again, for the professional world, but I have seen no ability to monetize on LinkedIn ever. I don't think that's what it's made for.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question or not. Sorry.
So would you say TikTok's your favorite then?
TikTok's by far my favorite. I mean, let me give you a good example. So another thing to kind of talk about. So I unfortunately lost my job with AmGuard back in September, not due to it wasn't my choice. I mean, literally I had been with AmGuard for 9 months and I had done $1 million in sales. So not a bad deal. I had done really well for them. I had brought on new distributors for them. I mean, literally killed it, but I think they were, their stock went from like $22 a share down to $4 a share. So I think unfortunately they had something happened that I didn't know about in the background. And where I'm getting to with this long story short is that during that time, my TikTok had done really, really well. Like in a matter of like 3 weeks, I think I got like 100,000 new followers.
Wow.
And on top of that, that means all the videos, trajectory had gone up very high. Like I have a video that got 37.3 million views. I have another one that got like 45 million views. And we haven't gotten into this, but part of the thing with TikTok is that you have to get to 1,000 followers to be able to be basically part of their creator program. Sorry, I take that back. You have to get to 1,000 followers just to be able to go live. Right. Once you get to 10,000 followers, you can then be part of the creator program. Once you're part of the creator program, if you post videos that are over 1 minute long and people basically watch the video for more than 5 seconds, that turns into monetization for you. And I can go in and see the analytics on all of this. So the 3 or 4 videos that I had that did really, really well during that 2-month timestamp basically generated for me around $4,000 a month from TikTok in revenue.
Wow.
Just from the videos, people watching them. I did nothing else. I think, my whole point to that was I actually got to take a month off from work, which was the best thing ever.
So it sounds like most of this is used to generate a personal brand of your own, right? Like it seems like this is developing a following and status for the individual as opposed to the company necessarily that you're attached to at the time.
It depends, right? So like I just made a TikTok for Innovative Pest Solutions.
Okay.
And as I get videos from them, I'm going to start to create that, because there's another pest control company out of over your way, Andy, that I follow. I'll try to find them on TikTok, but they have around 250,000 followers. And they literally post videos of, like, you know, when they're doing like termite stuff or bed bug stuff, or the videos you give me, Andy, I know would trend well. And I know you would do well on TikTok already, you know? And so even Gabe, I'm sure you have great videos as well. And so again, it's about branding whatever you're trying to brand. So for me, it's branding Name That Bug, as we see right here across the screen. Right. Mm-hmm. But for Andy, it might be branding, you know, how do you say it? Perimatech. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And then for Gabe, it would be about branding your company. So it's about branding your different companies for you guys whenever you're making that TikTok social media profile for your company. Right. And so, and kind of taking that into mind means that whenever you're doing that content, you're going to want to try to do that content around what do people want to see. Right. So like with Innovative, we are one of the only companies in Southern California that have canine dogs, right? That I actually use for bed bugs, termites, and rodents. And so I'm trying to use that to my advantage in the videos to try to say, this is what we can do. This is what we can offer. This is what we can bring to the table. This is why you want to use Innovative.
Yeah, it's great. So you've obviously used social media both largely on TikTok. It's been kind of, as you were saying, Andy, on building what would be basically your personal brand. You've utilized it as well to do sales for various companies as separate, right? Is that correct?
Are you saying when I'm saying like build a profile for that company, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't done a lot of that. That's something I'm kind of dabbling in. You know, I definitely know that it's doable. I know that it can be done. I know that it's kind of like one of those things where we talk about the effort that's involved, right? I mean, when I started TikTok, I was posting 3 videos a day. You know, the average video, they say that they say the key is you don't want it to be more than 7 seconds. And the reason behind that is if you go look at the analytics on videos in TikTok, I can tell you right now, basically after it goes down past 5 seconds, it'll basically kind of like, it's hard to do it because it's seen like backwards, but it'll kind of like go down to 5 seconds and then it'll just go, and it'll shoot off.
Wow.
And so that 7 seconds is kind of key. But I mean, posting it's like anything. If you don't post content, people don't have anything to see. They don't have anything to follow. Right. And so the more you post, the more they can see, but you don't want to be too annoying at the same token. So that's why that key is kind of 2 to 3 videos per day.
So
go ahead.
Go for it, Andy.
No, you go.
I was just curious.
No, you go.
No,
I'm just kidding.
So 2 to 3 videos. I think that's great. I'm all for lots of content. And I've gone through seasons where I've posted more or less content. I've never posted that much content because that's a lot. You're saying, at least on TikTok, that short videos, is you were saying like 7 seconds, is that the actual video length, like the entire video length?
I mean, so here's the thing, right? I'm obviously not doing 7 seconds anymore because I want to monetize, right? So with me, if I can get them over a minute, I can monetize. If it's less than that, I can't monetize. And
Right.
So, but I think when you're trying to gain that following and you're trying to gain that traction and you're in the beginning right now, sometimes less is better. But also, it's hard to say. I mean, that's what they say is the secret number, but it's hard to say what the secret number is for you because I see people that have millions of followers and have 3-minute videos and people watch the whole damn thing, you know? And so, but I think it's about in the beginning, you want to gain that traction. So you don't want to lose people, right? You want to try to captivate their interest. And so that's why I think these videos of like all these bugs people love this stuff. It's gross out content. You know what I mean? They love the bed bugs. They love like seeing the cool stuff or the mites or whatever it is. It's stuff they don't see either. And we can get, knowledge is power, right? And we can empower people. So my other caveat to this is, I mean, I did a video. I don't know if you saw my video on TikTok. I'm sorry, on LinkedIn the other day. It was, bitch, you got bed bugs. Bitch, you got bed bugs. And so, but I mean, I wish I would have put like a little reference point next to the bed bug because nobody knows how big they are, right? I mean, how often do you get customers that are like, oh, you can see bed bugs? And I'm like, hell yeah, you can see bed bugs. They're bigger than ticks.
Yep.
But in my video, if you notice, all the babies were like so tiny, they had just hatched out of the egg. And those are like transparent and they're more difficult to see. And
my
so
my 10-year-old brought that to me.
You're what?
My 10-year-old daughter brought that video to me
No.
serious?
of you singing that.
Are you serious? That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
Is that a real song? Is that like a
Yeah,
like
I
an
don't
actual?
know. It's on TikTok, so it's like a background music song I found.
Did you write that song, Adam?
I wish. Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
We need a pest control themed rock band. That's our next.
100%.
That's our next.
We
thing.
can do that.
We
I
could.
mean, I can
we
sing
have
a
the
little bit.
capability.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So is this going to be for your, I don't know, standard run of the mill pest control company? Is this in the future, let's say next 5 to 10 years, going to be a prerequisite that we have a social media presence like it was in, say, 2006, that it started to be, you didn't have a yellow page ad anymore. You had to have a website. Website was everything. Is this going to be that? Like you have to have a presence on there.
I think you're almost saying, like, is it going to be like the next Yelp, right? Or like the next review kind of model. And so, Gabe, I was telling Andy earlier, we moved to San Diego in January, and we don't use Safari or Chrome anymore to search places. We only use TikTok. So like when we wanted to find a sushi restaurant, we typed in San Diego and sushi, and then it came up with all these options, but it's live interactive video of what I'm getting when I go there.
Interesting.
Right. And so even a chiropractor, I looked up chiropractor San Diego. I saw a video of a lady cracking a guy's back. She was lesbian. I was like, I'm on board. This is great.
So Adam, you cut out just a touch as you were saying something. Adam did not say that he searched San Diego and douchey. He said he searched San Diego and sushi.
Sushi, yeah.
Because I swear, all I heard was San Diego and douchey. So,
that's it. San Diego and douche. No, we're just kidding. San Diego and sushi. Did you hear
sushi.
that?
We got it. We cleared that up.
Yeah. Or I was saying I searched like San Diego and chiropractor.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the way I found on my chiropractor. And so
that's so interesting. I think that is really, really insightful data. I've never heard of anybody doing that in my entire life.
I feel like Chrome and Google is a waste of time anymore, especially when you think about pre-COVID and post-COVID, right? Nothing's correct on the data. The hours aren't correct. The address isn't right. The place closed down. I literally pull up and it doesn't exist anymore. I'm like, WTF, what's going on? OMG, geez.
Yep.
You know, and
right.
so with TikTok, at least I know that, like, when I look at TikTok, the video was made 2 days ago.
Wow. So as that search traffic comes off of your traditional search engines, if you're not in that game, you're a little bit left behind then. If we fast forward, 5-10 years, that search traffic is going on to TikTok or social media looking for videos of, I want to see this guy doing a service.
I think to kind of add to that, and I'm listening to what I'm thinking about my response. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, I think I cut out there for a second. Okay. I think the other reality about the search engine is that why would you not want to utilize something like TikTok when it's free, right? You get free analytics. I mean, you're a company, you're a small company that's trying to struggle, and you're paying all this money for marketing. You're paying all this money for this when you can literally market to everybody on TikTok. Let me give you a good example. So obviously I'm in San Diego, which just got voted the #1 most expensive city to live in the entire country, right? I think we have 1.75 million people. Thank you. Yeah. So exciting. I think we have 1.75 million people as a population, but there was a restaurant downtown that had a viral video on TikTok. Prior to the viral video, they were struggling. Post-viral video, the line is around the corner every day between people who live in the city and then also tourists coming in.
Wow.
They can't keep up with basically servicing everybody. So I think it's just a very, insightful thing to realize that the power of social media. Now, here's the other thing. Look, did you guys ever see the video on TikTok of the Cook's technician? Like Cook's Pest Control?
No.
Okay, so there was a Cook's Pest Control on TikTok it went viral because he did not realize that the customer, who was a female, was videoing everything.
Oh, boy.
So he literally was going through all of her drawers, sniffing all of her clothes, doing some very interesting things. And let's just say, Andy, and there?
Yep, we're here.
Yep, we're here.
Okay, sorry. Did you hear all of that, or do I have to repeat it all again?
I think you cut out after sniffing underwear out of drawers.
Oh, gotcha. So I was trying to say that basically that was not a powerful, obviously that was a very not powerful thing for cooks, right? The virality of that video was so impactful that I think the CEO and president of Cooks had to go on to live television and make a personal apology.
Wow. So I think that's one of the things, though, that to me holds a lot of people back from getting into this is that there's a big upside, but then there is almost an equal downside. If you put the wrong content out there, or you're not extraordinarily conscientious about exactly what's in the frame of every video and picture, very careful to like everyone's using the right PPE, everything's done by the book. Because if you do
100%.
one little thing, man, it can go bad fast.
I mean, that yes and no. So I don't know if you've heard of the guy. His name is Dan the Bug Man. He's
Yep.
like out your way, Andy, and he
we
literally
know
puts
Dan.
a lot. He puts a lot of videos on TikTok and doesn't use any PPE.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I'm like, it's one of those things where, I try to connect with Dan, and he's just a young kid, I think, trying to do a pest control company, and I love it, super empowering, but it's like that, like you said, it's where you need to be very thoughtful of that, but he's also doing well with his following.
That's what's held me back from doing more, is that I'm extraordinarily metered and careful. I want to make sure every single thing that goes out into the public is like vetted and just absolutely tight, where you couldn't have a problem with that.
I mean, I think that's something where I think you can kind of, and this is a good, kind of a good thing to segue into, is the kind of editing the content, right? I mean, I think you just kind of have to rewatch it, a few times and just say, is there anything in here that I'm worried would offend anybody?
Right.
Right? Like, I'm not necessarily worried about, we've got content of dogs killing rats and pulling rats out of holes. I mean, is PETA going to hate that? Are people going to hate that? Yeah, but that's reality. I mean, our country is under a rodent, potential infestation here, if not the entire globe. I mean, it's bad. And so like, we have to control this, or we're going to have epidemics of different diseases. I mean, we've already had, I think, 12 people in Los Angeles die of marine typhus. 100 people have been infected. You know what I mean? We've got bubonic plague. We've got things here that are going to manifest themselves due to, like, I don't know if you heard, but California just implemented, we can no longer use difascinone January 1st.
I did hear that. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So we're actually being forced, we're having our hands held. But I mean, the interesting thing, right, is again, we're kind of back to pivoting, right? Now we're going to pivot. What do? Maybe we take on using more ERMs, electronic rodent monitoring. Maybe that turns us to Bell sensing. Maybe that turns us to more IPM. Not necessarily a bad thing. It actually just pushes us into a different direction. Sure. AKA, let's just all have Bobby Corrigan work for us.
So now on the editing the content, this is something I know Gabe and I have talked about a little bit in the past, and I'm really interested to see what your take is on this. I'm really curious about, when is it appropriate to have a company take an official stance on something that really isn't in their purview of what they do. So a social, political, some kind of stance. There's a risk involved with taking a stance, not taking a stance. When's it right? When's it wrong? When are the risks too high? When should you just keep your mouth shut? That kind of thing.
Can you give me an example?
I think anything in the political arena, anything in
where you could use
society.
You could use like my that post I did that everybody hated. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you had posted something about having conflicted feelings about taking a job at a strip club.
Yep.
And putting your
I
guys
didn't
in
even read
there.
that. I'm so sorry. I can't get on all of it. So
no. And so there was a lot of backlash, and then there was a lot of pros and cons. And to me, though, when I see something like that, I'm not throwing you under the bus at all, Gabe. You do what you do.
Get underneath the bus, Gabe.
Get under there. I'm going to drive right over you. What I feel like is happening is the message of, hey, Pest Patrol is a great company, and here's what we do, is overshadowed by a conversation that has nothing to do with why you're on that social media platform. It's like,
so this is where I would come in, Andy and Gabe, and I would say this is where I feel like keeping kind of some of that personal stuff off of LinkedIn is really beneficial, right? Like, maybe do that on your Facebook group. You could even do that on TikTok. I don't think it would be a big deal if you were branding Gabe, but you're trying to brand Pest Patrol, and that's where it's like, does it matter? Does it not matter? I don't know. I mean, LinkedIn is just all the people that you work with, right? So honestly, who cares what they think? right? They're not your customers.
Right.
Are your customers on LinkedIn? No, they're not. Most of them are not. If they are, it'd be really weird. So, but I mean, it wouldn't be super weird. It'd be weird if they followed you, but who knows? But anyway, I guess I'm saying that I don't know. I mean, honestly, between you and me, I look out for me at the end of the day. I look out for number one because nobody else will look out for me. No offense. I mean, that's just
Sure.
the way the world is. And so I don't really, I try to, especially as you grow in the social media world. And I'm technically now considered, I think, a mega influencer. I'm not like the top one. So I'm not a celebrity, but I'm a mega influencer. So it's like I have people say horrible things about me all day long, every day. I mean, I've had people come on my TikTok and say, "Are you gay?" And I'm like, "What does that matter?"
Right.
I'm like, gay, bi, lesbian, fluid, gender, sexuality, political stance, none of that matters. I'm like, I'm me and I'm Adam and I'm trying to entertain you and bring you fun content. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you're making bug videos. Like
right.
It doesn't
I'm like, does it matter if I'm gay or if the bugs are gay or if anybody's gay? It doesn't matter.
So I think for Gabe and I, where we run into, I think we're in a position we're in like a gray area where is there a delineation between our personal brand and our companies as founders and owners of a company, as opposed to as opposed to an employee where you're not necessarily speaking necessarily for the whole company. I have a lot of conflicted feelings about if I say something, no matter if it's on my own personal side or as part of the company, I'm kind of responsible for speaking for kind of the whole company. Perimatech Pest Management is kind of taking a position that I take.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't want to speak for people in my organization that have a different political idea or social idea. Not saying one's good, one's bad, just they're going to be different. And I don't want to speak for them and have them tied to something they wouldn't agree with.
I mean, I think to kind of pin the tail on the donkey, I think the best thing to do is just to kind of avoid anything that you worry would have a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Those
here's
are
the thing.
so fun, Adam.
They are fun
topics.
I know. So here we are, Gabe. Is the risk worth the reward? Right. That's where you kind of have to go at.
Right.
I mean, realistically, what was tell me more about your post about what was it, working for a strip club or something?
So we had like a strip club call us. They were wanting us to come out and service them. And I told him no, we weren't going to do that. And the main reason why I did that was I disagree with what's going on in that place. I don't want to expose my team. I know my team because we have a really small team. Like, I know my team, they don't want to be exposed to that. And so I just made a call, whether it was the right call or wrong call. But so I denied that work. And so, as Andy said, there was an interesting mix of a lot of like, that was really discriminating and mean, and then a lot of like, yeah, that was great, which you can expect.
I mean, it's your choice at the end of the day whether you want to service a company or not, right? I mean, morals, values, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's your choice.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you don't have to service them. So I see the other perspective from everybody thinking what it could be, but I'm never going to tell Gabe or Andy what they're thinking. I'm going to give Gabe and Andy a chance to tell me what they're feeling. Right. And so for me, that's wrong for them to assume you were being discriminatory when, you know what I mean? Again, it's your business. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. The question is, do you, at least on the social media, kind of the more public side, how much of that do you make kind of transparent versus, do I just keep that? Do I share that? Right. So then it's like, oh, well, customers that agree with that or whatever may be attracted, or employees that agree with that and want to work in a place like that may be attracted to the brand, or do you just avoid?
I would have avoided that personally, Gabe. I mean, you're not running for president here, right? You're just trying to run a business. So I'm like, if it were me, I would have avoided that for a business perspective, just because it's like you don't want to mix business with pleasure, right? And so you also don't want to mix personal with business. And so for me, I would have avoided that. And I think for anybody I would be giving advice to, I would avoid that from the social media perspective. Now, if you were to service that strip club and they had a crazy amount of like body lice, that'd be a badass video.
So I actually have a story in that same vein. I didn't tell Gabe this before, but we've had some strip clubs that we have serviced, and my wife had we thought about it beforehand. We're like, do you really want to do this? We were servicing these places. There was nobody there. It's not like we're going in there, on 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock on a Friday night or something. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday.
Right, when it's empty.
They unlock the door, we go in, we do our thing.
Peak
And
season.
all the bugs are
10 a.m.
looking for people to eat on. Yeah.
That's right. So we did find, and I took a picture, but it'll never be found, that I did send to my wife behind the bar of women's underwear with fruit fly larvae on it.
Oh.
It was really kind of an amazing shot. And I sent it to her, and I'm like, hey, guess what I found at the job this morning?
Oh my gosh.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
hilarious.
It was
Okay,
not great.
by the way, this clip has to make the cut, so you have to put it in.
Yes.
It's the best.
We're going to make
stuff.
that the short. That'll be the
Right.
feature.
That'll be the pull. That'll be the pull
Yes,
quote.
yes, and put a picture of the actual specimen, okay, right in the center of the square.
With like arrows pointing to it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
With some
you won't
captions
believe
on
this.
there.
Yeah, you won't believe it.
We'll put it.
That's
We'll make it
That's good IPM.
right.
That's right.
And you want to talk about social media? There's your social media. Honestly, Andy, that's the whole thing you do a video on. Oh my God, I was servicing the strip club today, and look what I came across.
Yep.
Woo! Don't go to Victoria's Secret. Come right here to the strip club.
That's right. That's right. Oh my God. Yep.
That's awesome.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit away from that danger zone. Do you do anything to keep brand consistency from platform to platform and whatnot?
Yeah, that's a great question. So great question. Same name, i.e. Name.bug, same logo, which you've seen on all my stuff. It's kind of my little cartoon caption. So logo, name, basically that's the main consistency. I would say even whatever your bio description is should probably follow that as well. So also I have a link tree, which I don't know if you've heard of Linktree, but it's like beacons. It's like any of those things where basically if you go to my TikTok page and you click on my link tree, it's essentially a sub-site to where you can hook a lot of other websites to it. So for instance, I do a lot of campaigning. And so I've also got my own website, Name.bug. And so I hook all of those into the link tree. So i.e. the follower can just click on the link tree and then have access to all that information at one point.
What is that like? Is Linktree like? What is that? Is
Like a
that a
service? Is
service?
it-
What is
Yeah,
that?
it's a service, but it's free. You can do a free version, so you don't have to do the upgraded version. So Linktree and or Beacons, Beacons, those are both free services where you can kind of create these sub pages where you can then generate that URL link, which you can then attach into your social media profile.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. Okay, so where do you put that, and run me through again what that does?
So if you were to go to my profile right now on TikTok, I wish we could kind of pull it up while we're in this video, right? That would be
I
kinda
can
crazy.
pull it in post. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can pull it in, and then inside of that, you'll see a little thing that says like, Linktree. Let me double check that real quick before I tell you what it says, because I can go to my phone real quick.
And that's in your TikTok, you said?
Correct. Yep, that's in my TikTok. So I'm going to go to my TikTok right now. Yeah, so it actually says it has like a little like the little like attach symbol. If you're attaching a document, like the little kind of paper clip, and then it says https linktree/name.bug.
Yep.
Yeah, so you basically, so once I click on that, I'll show you what it does. It takes me to this page, and then hold on, this is my link tree.
Oh wow.
So it's got my social media icons, and then those are all links you can click on.
That's cool.
So I'm doing I'm doing one of my first give back projects to Project Honeybees. So you can go on there and buy stuff, and 50% of those profits go to honeybee research.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Linktree.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now-
so it doesn't have to be Linktree. There's Beacons. There's other competing softwares out there as well that are free of service in the beginning, and then if you obviously want to beef them up or do other things with them, you pay extra money. Yeah, there's a lot more to this than people think, but it's also not that bad. And I always tell people I am always up for hire for social media coaching. So I'm happy to help people out. I'm happy to help them, and so feel free to reach out at any time.
you're a polished professional because you just beat me to my next thing. Was to say, don't you do this now as a consultant for some people? You were talking to me about this just before.
Oh, cool.
But you're like somebody that's on a book tour selling your book. You got the pitch down.
Yes, I can be reached at name.bug@gmail.com, i.e. what you see right here in the picture, and or my phone number, which is 352-408-6122. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So any last closing thoughts? Did we forget to ask you anything important? I got to ask where you got the shades. That's important.
There's a place, actually, oddly enough, I got these pair when I was living in Florida, but the company is based out of La Jolla, which is 10 minutes away. They have an actual a little location there. So they're called Blenders Eyewear. And if you want a pair, just go to my link tree on my page and you can get them for 15% off.
This guy.
All right.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Wear everything you sell, boo.
There you go.
I think we went over basically just to kind of review some key points. If you're coming on here last minute, right, and you want to start up a social media profile, which is very empowering, very powerful social media tool, you want to make sure we talked about branding, right? We're going to use that same logo. We're going to use that that same name across the board, that same bio. If you want to develop a link tree so people have easy access to your website, highly recommend that. Then we're going to go back to, you want to post at least 3 videos a day if you can. In the beginning, they don't need to be longer than, I would say, 7 to 30 seconds, give or take. And then with that video, you want to make sure that you're using the proper viral hashtags. You want to make sure for a small business, you want to hashtag your area, your geographic location. You also want to tag your geographic location. And then, I'm trying to think. So I'm just trying to review. So we did amount of times per day doing that. Yeah. So I think, and then the music. You want to make sure you're kind of using some cool little background music. All right. I would highly recommend not using any type of religious music. Just go with basic background that's going to be, not controversial for your business. So that can be hard. Sometimes it's better just to do instrumental at the end of the day. Find something very basic, background, whatever. And so, I think that's it.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. It's fun having you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Anytime, I'm here. And send me videos of bugs. I'll take them.
He will. I can attest to
we'll
that.
End with, bitch, you got bad bugs. Bitch, you got bad bugs.
Oh, no.
Great, guys. Well, thanks as always for tuning in to Coast Pest Talk. What a fantastic conversation here with Adam. Adam, just real quick, shout out, where can we find you? What's the best place to find you?
The best place to find me is on TikTok. It's right here with the name.bug, as you can see on the screen. If you want to email me, you can email me at name.bug@gmail.com. If you want to call me or text me, it's 352-408-6122, also found on my LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our LinkedIn Coast to Coast Pest Talk group, because it's going down in the LinkedIn group. Thanks for listening.